Have you ever found yourself agreeing to something you didn't initially intend to? Perhaps you bought something you didn't need, or committed to a task you really didn't have time for. That subtle nudge, that gentle persuasion, or sometimes that powerful push, is often the result of something called compliance tactics in the fascinating world of manipulation psychology. Today, we're going to explore how these psychological strategies work. We'll look at the differences between simple persuasion and outright manipulation, and most importantly, how we can recognize these tactics, both when they're used for good and, more critically, when they're used to exploit. This isn't about judging anyone. It's about understanding human behavior and empowering ourselves to make more conscious choices. Compliance, at its heart, is about changing our behavior in response to a direct request or social influence without necessarily altering our core beliefs. It's distinct from conforming to a group norm or obeying a direct command from an authority figure. We're talking about those specific techniques designed to get us to say yes. To truly grasp compliance, we must start with the foundational work of Dr. Robert Cialdini, a renowned social psychologist. He identified 6 universal principles of influence that underpin many of these tactics. Think of them as the psychological shortcuts our brains often take. First, there's reciprocity. This is our innate drive to return favors. If someone gives us something, even a small, unsolicited gift, we feel a strong urge to give something back. It's why free samples or pre-giving tactics work so well. They invoke a sense of obligation. Next, we have commitment and consistency. Once we make a small commitment, we feel pressure to remain consistent with that initial action or statement. We want to appear rational and unwavering, even if it means agreeing to a larger request later. This is often leveraged by making us take a small initial step. Then there's social proof. When we're uncertain, we often look to others to guide our actions. If everyone else is doing it, it must be the right thing to do, right? Think of testimonials, bestseller labels, or long queues at a popular restaurant. These tell us others have validated the choice. Liking is another powerful one. We're simply more likely to comply with requests from people we like. Charisma, shared interests, compliments, or even flattery, known as ingratiation, can build this connection, making us more amenable to their requests. The 5th principle is authority. We tend to comply with requests from legitimate authority figures. This isn't just about titles, it's about perceived expertise and credibility, which is why doctor's advice or an expert's endorsement often carries significant weight. And finally, scarcity. We value things more when they are perceived as rare, unique, or limited. Limited time offer, only a few left in stock, or exclusive access are classic examples playing on our fear of missing out, driving us to act quickly. Now, these principles are often woven into specific compliance tactics you might recognize from daily life. The foot in the door technique starts with a small, easy-to-agree-to request, like signing a petition or answering a brief survey. Once you've said yes to that, you're more likely to agree to a larger, related request, like donating money to the cause, leveraging your commitment and consistency. Its counterpart, door in the face, is a bit different. Here, someone starts with an extreme request they expect you to reject, but then they follow up immediately with a more reasonable, smaller request. Refusing the first makes you feel you owe them something, so you're more likely to agree to the second, more palatable option. This taps into reciprocity. They made a concession, so you should too.
The lowball tactic happens when you commit to an initial attractive offer, but then, after you're psychologically committed, the terms become less favorable. Think of car sales where hidden fees appear, or attractive job offers that suddenly change conditions after you've already decided to take it. Then there's that's not all. Before you can respond to an initial offer, the persuader sweetens the deal with a bonus or discount. It often feels like you're getting something extra for free, invoking reciprocity, making the offer seem too good to refuse. While these tactics can be used ethically in sales or even healthcare to encourage positive behaviors, there's a darker side. When these techniques are used to deceive, exploit, or control others for personal gain, we cross into the territory of unethical manipulation. These strategies are not about mutual benefit. They are about control, and often cause harm. These tactics can be deeply damaging. Gaslighting, for instance, makes someone doubt their own memory, perceptions, or sanity, eroding their self-trust and sense of reality. Triangulation introduces a third party to create conflict or divert attention, often used to avoid direct confrontation or to make someone feel isolated. Guilt tripping uses guilt to force compliance, leveraging emotional pressure. The silent treatment is a form of emotional punishment, withholding communication and affection to control behavior. Isolation tactics aim to cut off a person's support networks, making them more dependent and vulnerable to the manipulator. And in the broader public sphere, we see manufacturing doubt, distorting scientific consensus or creating uncertainty, and exploiting conspiratorial reasoning to sow distrust and push specific narratives, often in political and information campaigns. These tactics exploit our cognitive biases and vulnerabilities to shape our beliefs without our conscious consent. Researchers like Robert Cialdini and even earlier figures like Solomon Asch and Stanley Milgram, whose work focused on conformity and obedience, have laid the groundwork for understanding these mechanisms. Today, experts like Dr. Ramani Durvasula speak extensively about narcissistic abuse, where many of these manipulative tactics are prevalent. These strategies aren't confined to individual interactions. They're leveraged across various sectors, from marketing and sales to the dynamics within abusive relationships, political and information campaigns, and even by legal professionals seeking to influence juries. Notably, modern ransomware has evolved from purely technical threats to psychological extortion, weaponizing fear, liability, and exposure using stolen data to force payments. The relevance of understanding manipulation psychology has never been greater. In our increasingly interconnected world, the sophistication of these tactics is evolving. We see psychological extortion in modern ransomware, not just technical encryption, but exploiting fear and shame using stolen data. The deliberate use of language in media and politics to control perceptions and influence beliefs is a constant concern. Even the rise of AI systems brings new questions about their potential for manipulation, prompting efforts to build ethical and steerable AI. This brings us to the crucial ethical questions. Where do we draw the line between ethical persuasion, which respects autonomy, and harmful manipulation, which deceives, exploits, or controls? When does influencing behavior become an abuse of power, especially when tactics exploit vulnerabilities or undermine a person's self-confidence? Many of these strategies work by tapping into our psychological processes without our conscious awareness, raising concerns about genuine informed consent and personal autonomy. The consequences for victims of psychological manipulation can be severe: confusion, anxiety, depression, difficulty trusting others, and in extreme cases, a breakdown of self-identity and even Stockholm syndrome. This isn't just about feeling a little pressured. It can profoundly impact mental well-being and relationships, leaving lasting scars.
So, how do we navigate this complex landscape? The future outlook for manipulation psychology isn't just about studying the tactics, it's about empowering ourselves to recognize and defend against them. First, cultivate self-awareness. Understand your own psychological triggers, your biases, and your vulnerabilities. Know your values and what you stand for. Second, practice critical thinking. When presented with a request or an offer, pause. Ask yourself, why am I being asked this now? Is there an underlying pressure? Does this align with my values and needs? Third, learn to say no, or let me think about it. You don't owe an immediate response. Giving yourself space to consider allows you to detach from the immediate pressure and make a more objective decision. Fourth, build strong support networks. Manipulators thrive on isolation. Having trusted friends and family who can offer an objective perspective or just listen is invaluable. And finally, trust your gut. If something feels off, if you feel pressured, confused, or dismissed, take a step back. Your intuition is often a powerful alarm system telling you something isn't right. Understanding these dynamics isn't about becoming cynical. It's about becoming more discerning and resilient. It's about protecting our autonomy, fostering healthier relationships, and making more thoughtful, empowered decisions in a world full of influence. By recognizing these compliance tactics and manipulative strategies, we equip ourselves to navigate our interactions with greater wisdom and strength. Thank you for joining me on this important journey of understanding.